Hello, my friends. I hope you had a fantastic week so far. This week, I'm back with a brand new conversation that I want to share with you. We're talking freelancing, we're talking creative thinking, and we're talking problem solving in a interesting economic challenge that we seem to find ourselves, or opportunity to grow and increase your problem solving skills. So that's what me and Tom are going to be talking about today. I'll now hand over to Tom to explain a little bit more about what he does and how he does it. Thank you so much for coming back, and I'll see you in just a moment.
Amazing. Well, thank you very much for inviting me to speak and have this conversation. I'm Tom. I am the Creative Rebels Creative Rebel, and I work with those people to help them stop derailing their businesses. Okay. Why? It's because working for yourself is really bloody hard, and we all deserve a little bit of support. So I work on confidence, I work on resilience, I work on trust building, and I'm here to help people create a safe space that they can play in and explore and really design actions that make sense to them. So it's always one-to-one, and I am truly here for the individuals
so
in this
time,
space.
Tom. Appreciate it. And from our pre-conversation, I think this is going to be a really fun show. I mean, freelancing in general, right? Running your own business, freelancing, etc., is absolutely fucking terrifying, right? It is, right? Let's be honest. For me, it was when I started. I'm sure when you started, absolutely terrifying. So let's just jump straight in. What would you say to people who are like on the fence? They're like, this employed thing, yeah, it's nice, but actually, I'm feeling like I could go freelance. I could get more out of my life. I could have more control. I could have more money. I could, etc. All the benefits that come with being your own boss. There's caveats on that as well. But there is a lot of benefits. Yeah. How do you help your clients? How do you help someone you would be speaking to really, I guess in some ways, get over the fear of, okay, Tom, I'm about to take the leap of my life?
It's a great question. I'm going to come round to it. Is what I'm going to do. I'm going to come round to that with an answer, because I think there's something which it almost comes before the fear and that sort of jump into, I want to go and be a freelancer. And I would always say to people, because I'm never going to say to somebody, yeah, that's all right, quit your job, go and start your own thing. It's a great idea. I'm never going to say that to anybody, because for some people, irrespective of if they want to, it still might not be a very good idea.
Yeah. And and just to quickly reiterate, this is a really important point that I make to some people when I coach them. Your vision and my vision are not meant to be the same. My vision is create global domination through the largest media company in the world. I've made that very clear across a lot of content, so I operate specifically to do that objective. That's not a normal objective, though, right? So I don't expect anyone else in the bloody world to want to do and be willing to sacrifice what I'm willing to sacrifice during the period of time I said I would sacrifice it in, right? Because I have a very specific objective tied to that vision and tied to that sacrifice, because for me it's not a sacrifice. This is just what it takes to get to where I want, right? But that's not the same as I want to go freelance so I have more control over my work-life balance, right? Because the stage when I'm 30, 40, 50 will be a very different work-life balance to what I have now, because I'm deliberately giving my 20s the time when you have ridiculous levels of energy that you can just burn to be productive and build something that will serve me for the rest of my life. That's the goal. That's the plan for me, right? But that's my vision. Right. Some other people's vision might be, I want to work 4 days a week so I can spend the rest of the time with my family. Right?
Exactly that. And no one person's vision of success is the same at all, and nor should it be. Because we are all individual, and every single person who is out there in whatever capacity of self-employment they are in, they are an individual. So, I mean, to circle back round then to that question of what would I say to somebody who says, well, I'm thinking about jumping into freelance work and I want to go and do this thing. I'd ask them what it means to them. I'd ask them what that means to them, and what going freelance actually means. Because, again, that is not a one-size-fits-all thing. It's not at all. There are many factors. And, once somebody could talk to me about what it means to them, what that term freelancer means to them, whether it's make some good money, whether it's dominate globally through a, media platform, which is brilliant. You shoot for the stars, my friend. It's great. Whether it's just I want to work 4 days a week so I can spend time with my family, which coincidentally is one of
and for
my
the record,
things.
probably will be my thing in about 10 years, just for the record, right?
Yeah, this is it. This is it. But that was my baseline. Like, it all comes down to the individual understanding what they want
But
to
also
draw
it's
from
a
it.
phase in one's life, right? I've made very clear in multiple content about right now, this is the stage where I eat shit. This is the stage where I build. This is the stage where I just work fucking ridiculously hard for a ridiculous period of time expecting no results. But also it means when I get to the point where I actually ask, I can ask for this much instead of this much. Because I've built the karma, right?
Yeah.
And that's where I think some people get it wrong. I think we're in a social media world or a world where the social media platforms are designed for dopamine hits, right? They're like, quick, I got a like, right. Man, fantastic, wonderful. But it opens up a problem for my generation specifically, which is we don't know really how to have hard work, what the definition of actual hard work is, in my opinion. And we are...
I'd agree.
It's very personal, sure, there's a difference between vision, but then also there's just a level of you just have to get a lot of shit done and you have to produce results. And I don't feel that a lot of societal norms at the moment is result-based. I think there's a lot of people doing a lot of, we've done stuff, but it doesn't necessarily result in something. Because just from what I've seen and what I've been doing when I'm very result-based, and then we produce results, their mind is blown by the results because we actually produce results instead of just what I call fluff marketing, which is it looks and sounds nice, but it doesn't do anything.
Yeah. This is an interesting thing. I think we are all victim to a filter bubble of one way or another. And, we've already said that the individual's version of success is theirs and not, but we still often allow what other people have to project onto us.
I don't have the car, Tom. I don't have the house, Tom. I don't have the holidays, Tom.
So who's saying that you need to have those? Right? Like, I'm very transparent about what my success is in terms of the business. Like, I have limited numbers of clients. I have small amounts of persistent, consistent work with nice people. I'm not making 5-figure months every month, but majority of the time, put my teeth in, I'm happy. The lights are always on. People can talk to me in a way which allows for meaningful conversation and connection. And that idea that we must be grafting, we must be grinding, we must be thinging, whatever that thing is, it becomes quite damaging, especially when people are very early career and very early choice. Because I've been a freelancer for 10 some years, running a business officially for probably pushing 6 now. And I've got like nearly 2 decades of experience running up to this point today that has taught me how to do business. Do I still know what I'm doing every day? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I still get the fear every time I have to send an invoice to somebody. A, because it might get lost in an inbox and I'll have to chase it, which is just embarrassing. And B, it's what is that person thinking in that moment that I send it to them? It's all these factors that make it a fearful situation. And when people are early in their career, when they're making those choices, I want to go freelance, I'm going to do it, we often neglect to think, like, what am I bringing with me? What have I got behind me? What experience am I going to carry in? What don't I know that could help me inform my direction tomorrow, next month,
I think for me, it's also really important to understand that just because we're in a position of authority, e.g. a coach, e.g. a professional, e.g. someone who gets paid for what they do, that doesn't mean we have every answer right now. What it
Hell
actually
no.
means for me
No.
is that we have the skill set, belief, and understanding in ourselves and our own ability to be able to fix any problem that will appear. Because the question of the reality is, there's a reason why business owners are called firefighters. It's because fires appear, right? They just appear out of thin air. They're just like, oh, surprise, there's this problem, right? Okay, fantastic. What I would call a true entrepreneur or pure blood entrepreneur is someone who just that doesn't faze them after a period of time. Initially, when you're setting up, and initially when you don't have that reality, of course that's stressful. Of course it's an issue. Of course we both get stressed about things. Sure, fine. It's then about what you do after that moment, though. It's about saying, okay, so this is the problem, right? What exactly can I do to fix this problem now? Can I fix it now? No, sometimes. Yes, sometimes, right? Depends on the problem, of course. But I think it's about being able to take that moment, personally anyway, and take that step back and say, right, what can I do about this problem? Whatever the problem may be. Cash flow, edit problem, client needs to reschedule, podcast isn't happening, etc. Right? I mean, I guess in some ways the question that comes from that is, how did one develop that mindset to be like, actually, I'm not stressed. Actually, I'm good. Actually, I'm fine. Because I think that's the key power when it comes to entrepreneurship and running a business, is being able to stay calm in a shitstorm.
It's a superpower, I have to say. It's different for every individual because obviously stresses show up in a different way for every person. But being able to handle those in a way which allows you to keep moving, that's a superpower, you know? I know full well that I have a very different dynamic to a lot of people in terms of my personal life. You know, I am me, I'm the professional. I've been around the block. I also have a family. On top of that, I'm also a carer because one of my children is disabled and requires 24-hour care. So there's all these dynamics, right? And when you look at the things which are actually stressful, like chasing down medication, like the school buses haven't turned up, literally everything else pales into comparison. And it's understanding, I think, for yourself as an individual, what is actually big and what feels really big. And that's not to devalue the things that feel really big, because in the moment, they really suck. They really, really suck. Like, you get one email with a little bit of terse feedback from a client. It's never not going to hurt. It's a terrible double negative, but it's never not going to hurt because you go, oh, I put myself on the line and they didn't like it. In that moment, that feels massive. Grand scheme context, not so much. They were probably just sounding off.
Or they're coming to you with the opportunity to fix the solution. Hey, by the way, I'll be really honest with you. I won't mention the client for obvious reasons. I had this morning. Got some client feedback from some videos. Hey, by the way, this didn't really hit the mark. Okay, not a problem. How can we do this better? What can we do to fix it?
Yeah.
Where's the issues? Where's the concern? I'm not sitting here going, oh, they said a bad thing about the video. No, okay, we missed the mark. No problem. Let's see what we can do to fix it. How can we make that thing better? How can we make sure the product and the service is better quality for that client? Okay, we're now going to have a conversation.
Absolutely.
We're going to see what we can do. Fantastic. Wonderful. Fixing the problem.
Yeah. But you allow yourself, though, that moment to go, that sucks. And you allow it to happen because you should allow it to happen. You can't just go, well, I'm going to be super stoic about this and it's not going to affect me in the slightest.
And also, I don't think it. I also don't think you
we're
should
not
be
robots
stoic in that context. I think you should be able to hold yourself to account and say, actually, okay, maybe I did miss the mark here, and take accountability on, okay, I went down an approach, but did I listen correctly to what the client was looking for? And or if I didn't, should I / yes, you should own up to that mistake and or explain why you did it a specific way, in my case, right? Which I did, right? Because then I think the client will be more receptive to the concept of fixing the problem instead of saying, well, you clearly don't understand what, and then having a very different conversation, which is like basically bye, right? Yeah. But I think it opens up an interesting collaboration conversation, because a lot of people would say to me when I talk to copywriters, other videographers, other video people, other creative people, you're talking to your competitors, Colin. You're promoting your competitors, Colin. Because arguably, from a coaching point of view, some people could argue we are trying to talk to the same people, right?
We could be.
Right?
We could be.
But my question, I guess, to you is, how, because we both share a collaborative mindset, which is fantastic and wonderful. I think a lot of other people should have. But how does one, I guess in some ways, get that collaborative mindset, and or what is the benefit of having that collaborative mindset? Because I think there's no such thing as I'm going to steal your client. I don't believe that. Categorically, I don't.
That's a cracking question.
And vice versa.
Cracking question. Add, right? And yeah. First off, let's just reinforce that this business thing, this creative work thing, this self-employment thing, it is not a bloody competition, right? Unless you are incredibly singular-minded in a particular way and you set out to compete with everybody, you do you, but this isn't a competition, right? It does take a long time to firstly branch away from saying yes to everything, because when you are early days, when you are maybe a little light on the cash flow in a month, maybe you've not invoiced for a couple of things, maybe you're just bored of your projects, right? It happens to everybody, but breaking away from the yes is often quite difficult. It's even harder to incorporate no into your language. And to pile onto that, it's even harder then to say, this isn't for me, but I know someone who can help you. And as soon as you bake that in, you are acknowledging your client's request, okay? You're acknowledging that they've asked for a specific thing and you respect them enough to say, not in my wheelhouse, friend. Because it's not, that ain't going to do anything for you. Like, it's like me taking on a branding project. Like my background is in user experience design. I focus on strategic decisions as to why things should be made in a particular way. I'm not going to take on a branding project, even if somebody asked me to do it and wanted to pay me some serious bucks, because it would be shit. I would hate it. The client would get a really bad result. So I'm going to say to that person, look, this is not in my wheelhouse. It's not good for me or you. And I did actually say this to somebody the other day. I said, look, I just don't want to do that because it isn't going to be good work, but I know who can help you with that. And then it doesn't take a lot of effort to then go out of your way to send an email between two people, to do a little LinkedIn duo message and say, hey, you should talk, because I know there's this thing between you and you've got the skills to help them out. Those little moments of connection and recognition for a request and a service provider or a product provider, a friend, a peer, it benefits everybody, including you. Like, without a doubt, I mean, to dwell on the benefits of this for you as an individual, you look generous. You look generous with your time. You look like you know yourself and your business well enough to say, I can't deliver this because it wouldn't be good for anybody, you know? You're supporting one of your colleagues, peers, friends. And you're also making sure your client gets what they need. So somewhere down the road, they're probably going to come back. Everybody wins.
I think it also shows you're resourceful, right? So you can create solutions to problems that
absolutely.
You want to be the connector. You want to be the person who can fix a problem, right? Because you're creating good karma within your network, right? Because it also, something that I think people misunderstand when that reality happens, is what it does is it also will bring whatever you do. I'll use myself as an example, video. Okay, so now whenever I think of video, I've just had another touch point with Colin, right? So when I think of video, I'm going to think of Colin, right? I'm not actually doing any selling here, right? All I'm doing is saying, hey, so-and-so, you should talk to Tom because, right? But by proxy, they're going to read my name. They're going to appreciate and understand that I'm passing them a potential really powerful contact, a really valuable contact to them. And then they're going to remember, so hold on, Colton's the video guy. Yeah, okay, cool, fantastic. Thank you, Colton. Right, Tom, we need to talk about etc. I think that's the undertone, and that's sometimes something which people don't appreciate, how far that can go.
Yeah. Absolutely. It snowballs. It snowballs because you then appear in other people's conversation. You then are present in other people's network. And we said this in our little in our pre-roll conversation, by both of you and I having this conversation, we are collaborating with an output around something we both appreciate talking about to two separate groups of people. You know, it's not just me coming on here to sell something to the people who watch your program. It's a collaborative conversation. And, you know, we do have to be mindful of the time we give to those kinds of things, because it can become all consuming and almost a job in itself. But just by being open to being a collaborator in one form or another, a connector, somebody who recognizes the value in their community, not just a network, but in their community, you become much more level-headed, I think, as a self-employed person.
I also think the byproduct that I've heard for a long time is like entrepreneurship as a whole is ridiculously lonely, right? It's like, and the thing is, and I don't mean this in disrespect in regards to like personal connections that one may have, it's just they're not going to get it, right? In the same way another business owner will get it. Like, they're just not, especially if you're like a director of a company and you have a team and etc. and or you're scaling. Like, for the context of the audience, this afternoon and this morning I had 2 meetings related to scaling my team, because the fact of the matter is there's too much demand for me to cover now, which means in turn I have to build processes and systems to allow me to scale. Fantastic, internally grateful place to be. Yeah. Thank you. However, does create a first world problem for me, right? And the thing is, like, I could discuss that with my network. I could discuss that with people who are personally connected to me, but they're not really going to understand it because they don't operate a business. They're not a managing director of a company. And the difference between me, and I had a conversation with a freelance editor yesterday about this, one of the differences that we are as a company at Brand Media, but me specifically in regards to my mindset, is I've always treated Brand Media as the highest paying client, right? Now, what that means is our marketing never stops. My priorities regarding etc. And clients know this, so it's not, state secrets. But what it ends up happening is you have this continued kind of visibility that becomes a massive sales tool because you're just everywhere. It's just very difficult, especially in Salisbury's context, because I've always wanted to support Salisbury, etc. Salisbury's context has been weaved into the brand, but especially if you're in and around Salisbury, you will know who I am by proxy because we cover local events, we cover what's happening, we cover new business openings, we talk about the city, we're on local press, blah, 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 etc. But the power of doing that is whenever someone mentions video or commercial or advertising, etc., or marketing, my name gets brought up, right? And that's the power of doing it. And I think sometimes, especially when we look at content, especially in video production land, we're all like, what's it going to shoot on? What's it going to sound like? What's it going to look like, etc. Excluding audio, it's all fluff though, right? Yes, this stuff's important. Yes, it's great. I'm talking to a professional camera now. Sure, fine. But what would be your opinion? Because I know we alluded to it, and this is why I kind of wanted to ask you the question. I mean, what role do you feel the actual words coming out of one's mouth holds in nowadays market?
I believe that the things we say and the things we do are more important than anything else in our businesses. But the value those two things hold in the filtered world of consumption that surrounds self-employment, freelancing, contracting, entrepreneurship, they mean less because you have to make more noise to break through. Like, I am not great at marketing, at content, but everything I want to put out there is entirely me, because I know that my voice and the things that matter to me are what is important when it comes to developing my business and to engaging with the kind of people I want to work with, which circles back round to the competitive thing of you and I both coach creative folks. We're not going to have the same client base because the things that matter to me and the things which will matter to those individuals is probably going to be different to the people who need to come and work with you and who resonate with what you're saying. I focus on the confidence you have as an individual, the resilience you have when things get challenging, trusting in yourself, trusting in your business, trusting in your clients. And I do it from a perspective of having been there, but I'm not going to tell anyone else how to do it,
And I think, again, it comes back to sorry to cut you off, but I think it comes back to the vision thing, right? Because people say to me, your output's incredible, your results, I'm like, again, respectfully, think about my vision. Because for me, they're not good.
Yeah.
I'm always trying to up myself. I'm always trying to push forward. I'm always trying to do this because I'm expecting global numbers. I expect global. My yardstick is global, right? Because that's what my vision is attached to, is how can we create more global influence? Not Salisbury influence, not UK influence, not Southwest influence. How can we create global influence? Which means I do things that are ridiculous in comparison to the context of someone else. But if you're just a one-man person who's just trying to make ends meet and just trying to run their company and want the weekends and want the evenings, you don't need to do what I'm doing. I promise you don't. You don't.
Right?
Do yourself a favour and don't even try.
This is it.
Okay?
I think people can try and do, and they can do it in their way and still feel that level of stretch, that level of push.
Personal, right? That's the thing. Because
but it's
for
personal.
Me,
That's
I've been doing this long enough and I know what I'm doing and I know how to scale it quickly. And I'm looking at a time yardstick. And I'm looking at, okay, so month 1 I did this. Okay, let's triple it. Month 2, month 3, month 4, month 5. I'm trying to get into that compounding effect as quickly as possible. But that also means I just have to work ridiculously hard with no results for an extended period of time. And actually just burn money, right? Because the way to accelerate, if you really want to know the answer of how to grow your business quickly, pay for advertising, push content that's valuable in short form format, because it's what the content and what the platforms want you to do, and then do that consistently for 3.5 months, expecting no results. And by month 6, you'll have a lot of results. There you go. That's how to do it. Problem is, that eats away your cash flow. Problem is, that eats away your social life. Problem is, that eats away some of your self-care time if you don't prioritize it. And everyone says, oh, can't worry about burnout. I prioritize my self-care above everything else because I am the driving factor of the business. Therefore, by proxy, if I fall down and I burn out, I can't grow. And this is, I think, a misconception sometimes. I think people see successful people and they go, wow, they're so successful, they have their life together. And it's like, it's one of those things where I think the analogy or the saying is like, don't meet your idols, because they're as valuable as you. They're still a human, but also you need to give yourself self-care no matter how busy you are.
This is very true. This is very true. And I think one of the hot topics that I like to bang on every now and again is that you as an individual are the most important person in your business and your ecosystem of your business. You are more important than your clients. You are more important than the people engaging on social media.
But that's an uncomfortable reality, though, right? Because I think we sit here and go, oh, I've got all these likes, or I've got all these followers, I've got these lovely clients, and they all are lovely, fantastic, wonderful. But how did you get to the mindset of actually understanding, no, I am worthy of those investments, whether that's making sure I get enough sleep, making sure I'm eating right, making sure I'm working out, etc., 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 taking the days off I need, whatever, right? And again, it's all personal, it's all tied to vision, it's all tied to your own limits, etc., that I've talked about in previous content. But how did you build that mindset? Because that's not a mindset that we just wake up and have, I don't think.
No, it's not. Hell no, it's not. It's not at all, because business generally says the only person who matters is the person that pays your bill. Customer's always right. It's the person who comes into you and starts having a rage because they aren't happy with the thing that you've done, or they want a refund on X, Y, and Z. You understand them, but you're in your business, you are still more important. It's the old analogy of put your own oxygen mask on first, otherwise you can't help anybody else.
Or another analogy, you can't feed the homeless from an empty fridge, for example, as well.
Yeah, well, sort of change the world when we think about doing good business and sustainable business, putting people first, we still have to make money to be able to put people first. It all comes around to the same things, depending on which way you want to look at it. And no, you absolutely do not wake up with that mindset, because you go, I am now a freelancer, therefore I must be working. Therefore, I must be pitching to clients. Therefore, I must be grafting and grinding, because I need to make money, because I need to be out there in the world doing the thing. And despite the social culture, social media culture of put yourself first, do a bit of self-care, get some mindfulness in there, that shit doesn't often land until you have gone too far down the hole and you really hate what you're doing, and you resent your clients, and you resent the work that you've done. And at that point, then you have to pull back to a point where you're then uncomfortable the other way. So it's kind of trying to bake in small pieces of acknowledgement into what you're doing that just says it's all right to stop. 45 minutes. It's okay. I think I said to somebody the other day, they were frantically busy with client work, like working all the hours, balancing it with family life. And they said to me, I just don't have the time to do anything. And I challenged them just to say, don't think about making time. Take the time. Like when you've made a cup of tea, the time between making that brew and it cooling down to drinking temperature, what's that? 7 or 8 minutes? That's all you need. If that's all you've got, that is okay. But just be in that for a minute. And those little things, you talked about the compound effect of effort and energy. You can stack the small breaks, the small pieces of care, the small acknowledgements that actually you have gotten up today and are running a bloody business. It's not a lifestyle. It's not jetting off to, country X, Y, and Z with your Apple tea tray to go and work in a humid environment. It's not. You've gotten up and you are running a business, and you have to look after yourself while you're doing it. Otherwise, you've got no business.
It comes back to this concept which I've talked about before, which is like, you're too busy, or the person says to you they're too busy. No.
Mm-hmm.
We've all got 24 hours a day. Okay? I'd recommend you sleep 8 of them. Okay? That leaves a certain amount of time left.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this is where it gets fun, because this comes down to your priorities, right? It's got nothing to do with time. Everything to do with priorities, right? It's use of time within priorities, okay? So, it's nothing personal, I'm sure. However, I only have a certain amount of time, therefore I'm only going to give my time to certain people, because I can literally only do that because I only have a certain amount, right? So this is why I never accept the I'm too busy excuse, because that's what it is. It's an excuse in my view, because if a need was attached, and one of the best pieces of advice I was ever given very early in my business is people are loyal to their needs, not to people, right? Now, let me quickly break that apart for the audience's sake. What that actually means is, if you have a need tied to me, e.g. I'm going to pay you, or I'm potentially going to give you a job, suddenly you become ridiculously available like that, right? If you were truly too busy, as in the stuff that has high priority in regards to you, you wouldn't be able to meet me like that. But because there's a need attachment, you can. So this is the difference. And this is why I think I'm personally different, because I just say how it is. I said, look, right now these things aren't a priority, right? Oh, I missed a workout. Okay, because I'm where I am. I'm happy with where I am with fitness. Therefore, my fitness, I still do it, and it's still an important element of my life. It's less important because of where I am with the journey than it was a year ago, right? And it's the analogy I always use. The same with business, the same with personal, same with social time, same with family time. It's all about priorities, and it's all about vision. It's got nothing to do with you too busy. It's called you're not a priority for that person at that time. That's cool. That's good. All the love in the world to you, right? I think it's about coming to terms with the fact that you should be okay with that uncomfortable truth, right? Personally, from what I view.
But that in itself is
Oh,
really hard to
it's
handle
horrible, yeah.
because I would imagine that people generally don't want to be dicks. Generally, they want to be helpful to others. They want to. I would hope they want to bring people into their world. They want to do good things for them. You know, if you have children, if you put them first. You have a spouse, you have a partner, whoever in your life, they are a priority for you. Like your cats need feeding and they're yowling at you. They're a priority. But when it, I think, comes to all of all of everything in your life and your business is part of that, they are not mutually exclusive. When you are self-employed, when you are a freelancer, you only have one life and your business is part of that. And it can be very consuming and very difficult to pick through those things which you see as a priority. Because, as you say, you only have 24 hours in a day. And sometimes you can't even find the moment to think about defining a priority, let alone acting upon one. Just because you've got stuff, it's all stacking up. And I think this then stems from that initial, sort of that establishing shot of your business, of your own ability to be in that business, where you say yes to everything, where you take it all on, and again, when you're not quite sure about what it actually is that you do. And that's a good place to be a lot of the time, right at the beginning, even when you want to pivot, if you want to change direction, it's okay not to really be clear on your thing. At some point, you're going to need to be, because otherwise you end up trying to be a unicorn, you know, and it doesn't work for anybody, let alone yourself. But it can be done to get yourself to a place where you go, you know what? I've got a lot of stuff on my plate.
And I think that's a really important point, which is how to deal with overwhelm, which is a common issue which I'm sure both of us coach on. My tackling of that is, okay, you've got a lot of stuff happening. This is going to sound counterintuitive, but it works, I promise you. Stop. No, but I've got no, stop. No, I've got those, stop. Just stop. For 2 minutes, just stop. And breathe and take a moment. Because what it does is it stops your brain going into hyperdrive and fight or flight mode, right? Which is, oh my God, 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 basically, right? And then what you can do is, okay, right, let's chill. Let's take a breath. Right, I'm going to write down everything I have to do. Right, now I'm going to write another list next to it, which is the same list, but in priority order in regards to what I need to do right now. What I need to do. If you need to take self-care, that should be the top of the list. If you need to generate money for your bank account, that should be the top of the list. If you need to generate more clients for the next 3 months' time, that should be the top of the list. Whatever it is that you need to do, not want to do, need to do. That's why now you've got a priority list. Now you've got a plan. Okay, start at the top. Work your way down till you finish your day. Till you finish your day. Whenever your day finishes. That might be 5 o'clock. That might be 7 o'clock. That might be 9 o'clock. That might be 12 o'clock. Doesn't matter. This is again vision. This is again how much you're working, what your work-life balance is, etc. Go down the list until you get to the end of your day. Hold yourself to account in getting that work done. But sometimes when we're overwhelmed, we don't take that moment. And that's why I wanted to mention it here, because it's really important to stop your brain going, fuck, 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 fuck. Right?
It is, I think, I'd like to just sort of interject on that kind of hard stop, in that we must be careful. So we, the self-employed people, we must be careful of going, just stop. You've got to just take a minute, because for some people that can be so jarring and so actually like a physically painful. It can generate so much anxiety that it then becomes an additional thing to worry about, the fact that they have stopped. So I think finding a way for yourself with help, and this is one of the things, this is why I'm here. Like, I am here to help you find ways to stop, not to tell you to stop, but to find ways to make the gaps in your day that you need to actually breathe, to actually go, you know what? There's a lot on. Where can I see a space to actually not fill, to expand the spaces? Thinking about the list for a second. Let's just circle onto the list, because I do my list. I have 3 things on my list every day, still in the priority order, but the priority is the one at the bottom, and they're listed 3, 2, 1. So the third thing on the list, it's generally a smaller thing that I could probably knock out. The second thing, chances are it's going to be in priority with the first thing at some point. But the first thing, at the bottom of the list, is the thing that I can get to and know that it will probably be completed. And if it's not, it can carry over, and it might then end up as the third thing on the list the next day. But by putting number 1 at the bottom, I then can't go and add number 4 after it. And I know that's not a particularly new concept, but it's really worked for me when it comes to actually managing my days and going, you know what, this is the finite number of hours I've got in my day. I would say that I have between like 9:30 in the morning and 3 p.m. in the afternoon as my actual working hours, because of the way my life runs, because of the way that the things which I then have to do come into play. And everything else then is fair game during those
But
little
then
blobby
and this is what
hours.
I said for a long time, it's like, arguably people would compare my results and your results, but that's not fair, because I've got
No,
from 3 o'clock through till midnight every day when you don't, right?
right? This
Yeah.
is the thing. I could say that. I mean, like, some evenings I will grab my laptop, I'll get a cup of tea, I'll sit on the sofa, and I might go and batch up a bunch of emails for the next day, because I like to just write all my emails in one go and just schedule them, because it saves so much hassle. I might do that for an hour in the evening. I might go and tinker my LinkedIn profile. I might go and make a bunch of graphics. I might write some course content or whatever, But it's not a given that stuff has to happen in that time, because I've acknowledged that the time that I actually have for doing my work, which is between about 9:30 and 3 p.m. in the day, that's the time when I can really double down on my efforts there. And everything else, once the needs are served, once other people's needs are served, the really important stuff, everything else is a bonus. And that's, I think, for me, one of the biggest things is that when it's done, everything else is a bonus. It's extra.
Again, it comes back to priorities. It comes back to understanding where you are in your life. It comes back to vision, etc., etc., etc. It's a really important principle you need to understand for you, though, right? Because as I alluded to earlier,
Yeah.
it's me versus me. It's not me versus Tom. It's not me versus Sally. It's not me versus Nigel. It's me versus me, right? As long as I'm doing better than I did yesterday, I'm winning, right? That's it. Simple as that.
Whatever
Again,
better
that's
looks
why I
like
use
for
the
you.
term better. It's subjective, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It's absolutely contextual.
Hey, today
Is
was
that,
better
like,
because I didn't work 15 hours a day. Fan-fucking-tastic.
right?
Hurrah!
Absolutely. Like, today was better because I actually didn't work at all, and now I feel so
Oh my god,
healthy
I can't
again in
wait to come back
myself
tomorrow.
that
That's going to be
tomorrow
incredible.
I can't wait to come back. And my ideas are flaring, my enthusiasm come back up. It's that whatever better looks like for you is absolutely okay. Because in that moment of acknowledging that what you've got, what you've done, you are enough. Full stop, period. You are enough in that moment.
No, I think that's a really
And that's okay.
magical place to end. So thank you, firstly, for the time. But secondly, for those who've really introduced this conversation, really want to get to know you a little bit more, consume some of your content, check out your core stuff, have a conversation about maybe working with you, etc., etc. Where's best for people to reach out?
Two places. Primarily on LinkedIn, because I hang out on LinkedIn a lot. It's Tom Jepson Coaching as my profile handle. You'll find me there, and the DMs are open. There's links to book a little chat in my diary. If you are in a space where you are self-employed, you've been going for a while, you're a creative person and you're just floundering a little, whatever that looks like, I am here to talk to you. If you want to email me, it's hello@tomjepsoncreative.com. Again, I'll try and get back to people on email as quickly as I can, but everything starts with the conversation. So I'm here to have them.
And as a final takeaway, final point, final piece of advice that you could give to someone who's, right, going to do it, going to go freelance, Tom, what should they be considering?
That's a really hard question. If somebody is considering going freelance, then maybe they're employed, maybe in whatever capacity, but they're not self-employed. Think about what it would feel like, or what it looks like if it all went really, really freaking well. All right? If everything, if you said, right, tomorrow I'm starting a business, it does thing. I want you to write down what it would look like for you financially, physically, ethically, morally, mentally, spiritually, quantumly, whatever that looks like. What does it look like if that is really, really good? And let that guide you. Because honestly, everything else, all the comparison, all the competition, all the filters, none of it matters.
Thanks so much for coming back, ladies and gents. I hope you took value from this episode. If you did, why not subscribe so you do not miss next week's episode of the show, where we're going to be talking to a brand new business owner, talking about their specific subject of expertise to add value to you and your business in 2023. If you would like to hear how video can help your business in 2023 as well, I'll leave my information just below this video. Thank you so much for coming back and joining me once again, and I'll see you very, very soon.